Man, we gonna settle in. But his ability, when he showed me the ability to keep the fight in the middle of the ring and his footwork and his footwork and able to, I'm literally out here fighting with this dog, bro. I should get this shit on camera because this shit is funny. But I'm sorry, y'all. He literally dragging me to where he want to go. And if he wasn't sick, he would be getting cussed out right now. But yeah, his ability to keep the fight in the middle of the ring, his footwork. I'm gonna be the asshole in a minute. His footwork, his jab, his reach. But it really was when I kind of see him fight Barras. It was his ability to turn that man and turn him and keep the fight in the middle of the circle that really impressed me. So now as far as Boots, one thing about Boots, a lot of the people that Boots tend to fight, there's shock value there with Boots. And I think that's what makes the fight so dangerous for Xander Zayas. Boots has got a reputation for being a puncher, right? But to be honest with you, let's keep it a bean. Um, Boots, who has Boots really ever knocked out? Boots has not fought nobody. So is Boots punch really that real? That made Boots punch so devastating in my opinion is that he leads off with power shots. You know, he'll lead off. I remember watching for 7 and Freddie Roach said, you know, he taught Manny Pacquiao not to jump in with leaping hooks. But he said Amir Khan, he can do it, but he taught Manny Pacquiao not to do it, okay? So when I look at, you know, when you jump in like Boots, where he jumps in with hooks and uppercuts, and he jumps in, my observation is a lot of the guys that he fight, when he jumps in with those punches, they bracing for the punches. You know, his speed, his power, and you don't see guys who jump in with uppercuts and hooks like Boots do, with the speed, the precision. But also, one of the things you see what happened with Boots when he do that, he leave himself open. So he jump in with a big hook, he open. His head is on that line. He not jumping in with a big hook like Roy Jones, and Roy tucked the chin and he a duck to throw that big hook. Boots is jumping in with a hook with his head straight on that line, and his head is popping straight up. You know what I'm saying? And that's the gift and the curse, because when he fights certain guys, I don't know, we won't know until tomorrow if Xander can take the punch, and if Xander can, how can I say it? And if Xander can, take advantage of that. But when you see Boots getting caught, a lot of the times it's either Boots pulling straight back with his chin up on the line, or you catching Boots jumping in with a big shot. You catching Boots jumping in with a big shot, you punching with Boots, or you catch Boots retreating on the straight line. That's when you see Boots get hit clean with them hooks. Don't let you also throw some combinations at Boots. Boots don't know what to do. Boots is slipping, act like he know what to do. When you throw combinations at Boots, he get touched. You know what I'm saying? He get touched up. So the thing about Boots is when he attack with those leaping hooks and he make those quiet moments loud, are you gonna ball up like most of the opponents that he fought and let you beat him, let you hit him, and you gonna try to counter him? Or when he jump in with those hooks, are you gonna try to time him and catch him coming in with your hook? Or you can just catch Boots with a simple jab. But the caliber of Boots, the fighters that Boots been fighting, when he throws those huge hazemakers, they ball up. They brace for the shot. They don't look to make a boxing move. And we'll see if Xander on Saturday will look to make a boxing move. When Boots, if he able to keep Boots at distance, and when Boots jump in, is he gonna, miss time Boots and miss Boots with a jab and get knocked out or get hit, is, you know, he gonna be able to clip Boots with a jab coming in, a simple jab? Is he gonna be able to, you know, maybe hit Boots with a body shot? Or is he gonna feel the power and ball up and let Boots get off? That's where Boots kill motherfuckers at. The caliber of fighters that he fighting, he able to kill them with that one shot effect. He jump in with a huge shot. And when he jumps in with those huge punches, he don't have no defense. He throws defense out the equation. It goes out the water. I mean, it goes out the window. But the thing about Boots is this: if you watch the tape, the way you can knock out Boots, three ways you can get Boots. You know, and I ain't saying you can, you know, win a decision doing this, but there's three ways you can get Boots. You can catch Boots coming in. You can catch Boots coming out. You can catch Boots. You can punch with Boots. You know, you can punch with Boots. Or also another one, a fourth one, you can throw combinations at Boots. When you throw punches at Boots, ain't nothing coming back. Boots is one of those dudes that's real cute. He real silky smooth. He'll move his head and he'll look, but he not looking really to counter you like that. Boots is looking to set the tone by throwing the first big punch. You know, he trying to get off. And then when Boots got you on your heels, when Boots put you on your heels, then he attack. But if you able to create distance versus Boots, and you able to jab and make Boots think, the quiet part, it's going to be harder for Boots to jump in. And that's what Kieran Cherkachan did. Kieran Cherkachan, he was able to control that distance for Boots. And once he started once he started pivoting Boots, Boots don't have no balance. And it's a lot of stuff that it's a lot of stuff that Xander Zayas was mentioning about Boots' footwork and Boots not being good in the quiet places, the quiet parts of the boxing, that I knew what they was, some of what they were seeing, I was seeing. So you got to understand, when Boots is the main parts is when Boots is coming at you. You know, when he coming at you, you got an opportunity to get him. But if you miss, you probably gonna get knocked out or you gonna take a hellacious punch. When Boots is leaving, he leaves with his head, his chin up on the line. He come in with his chin up and his head up. He pull out with his chin up and his head out. That's a fact. And this is why when you you look at the tape and not just go off, what I seen him for. When you look at the tape, bro, it's no way he can fuck with Terrence Crawford. No way. And out of shape, Terrence Crawford can knock Boots out. I'll tell you that right now. Like, there's no way he can fuck with Terrence Crawford. It's just too many mistakes that a technician who is Boots fought to say his power is this great power? I mean, that's a great point. Who has he fought to really gauge the power? He fought nobody. Real Monvila, he went 10 rounds with Real Monvila, a punching bag. Boy, you didn't walk too long already. But yeah, he went that long with a punching bag. You know, Kieran Cherkachan was able to take the power. And one thing we know, and you know, maybe people don't feel like Xander is a high caliber fighter. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they don't feel that way. He's a high caliber fighter. You know? And they put him in that box with, you know, Real Monvila, Lima. They put him in the box with Cherkachan. And maybe they don't feel like he's that high caliber fighter. Okay? Maybe not. But I'm going to say this. If Xander is durable, If Xander is durable and he's a notch, let's just say, let's be for the sake, he's 2 notches above those guys. Boots is gonna have a hell of a fight on his hand. If he durable and he's strong, he's truly bigger than Boots, and he's a 2 notches above a Turkachan. He's 2 notches above Real Vila. You know, we almost at the desk. He a notch, you know, he about a few notches above Lima. I think and he durable. I think it's gonna be a solid fight. And I say it's gonna be this glorious war. But the way Xander can control distance, and you know, I say one thing that worries me about Xander in this fight. Come on. I'm gonna say one thing that worries me about Xander in this fight. And y'all remember this. This is the number one thing that worries me about Xander. All the other stuff is kind of hard for me to calculate. Even though Boots got 35 fights, it's hard for me to calculate where Boots is at because he ain't fought nobody. But with Xander, it's hard for me to calculate Xander because he really ain't fought nobody either, right? We could say, hold on. They gonna tell me why they ain't give me my fucking money. But let's find out. Cause I don't know why this had my old address on here. But they better not be talking about I owe them no fucking money, cause I sure fucking don't. I want my $1,000. I go to war. But the one thing that Xander said that bothers me about this fight, because I feel like Xander should be worried about timing and distance. He said, I'm faster than Boots. That's what bothered me. He said that I'm faster than Boots Ennis. And he keeps saying it. Or Boots is a 9 or 8 in speed. I'm a 10. Or Boots is a 7, 8 in speed. I'm a 9. He not faster than Boots. Xander Zayas is not faster than Boots. And if he if he talking about foot speed, okay. Foot speed, and the only reason he probably got foot speed over Boots, I'm going to tell you that is because Boots is a flat-footed fighter. And Boots can act like he ain't flat-footed. Boots' footwork is trash. Boots is a flat-footed fighter. But he's a fighter that's always planning to throw punches. You feel me? So Boots is always a guy. He's flat-footed because he's punching for power. So I get it. But as far as when you start talking about using angles and footwork, his footwork is 2-pack the ass. Like, I will say that Xander seems to have superior footwork. All right, go in there. Xander does have superior footwork, right? Now, but when he made the comments about being faster than Boots, that was my biggest concern. Because I can't really gauge who gonna be stronger on fight night. I can't gauge experience or punching power because we can say, oh, Boots seemed to be the superior puncher and all that type of shit, right? We can say that, but once again, who has he really knocked out? He was down there probably naturally should be a 54, 60 pounder. You were down there punching on welterweights. You know what I mean? You down there punching on welterweights. So who's to say what type of puncher are you really? And they can say, well, Boots is this in sparring. Of course, Boots is just savage in sparring. Mainly because he got headgear on. That's all that shit dealing with is headgear. Like, come on. He's wearing headgear. But as I continue to carry on, when Xander said he's a faster fighter, that really piqued my concern. Because if you go in there thinking that you faster, legitimately faster than Boots, I think that's already a notch under Boots' belt for this fight. He's not faster than Boots. Not even talking about hand speed. He's not faster than Boots. I don't care what he say. Foot speed, yeah. But if he talking about hand speed, that's the one thing that worries you when you fight a guy like Boots Ennis. It's the shock of the hand speed. That's what worries you. It's the shock of the hand speed. His hand speed, his hand speed is what allows him. His slickness is what allows him to get off. It allows him to go to point A to point Z. You kind of see what I'm saying? Like, that's how he able to get off. Boots ain't really moving his head like Roy Jones to get off that line. You know what I mean? He uses raw speed and the intimidation of his speed and power to be able to get to point A to point Z. Boots, you watch the film, Boots ain't really sitting in there boxing with you. Boots ain't boxing with you, or he ain't angling. Boots is looking to gazelle your ass. He looking to jump in and shock you. Boots ain't really boxing from distance and nothing like that and using his jab and being patient. No. Boots Ennis is looking to his number one asset is the intimidation of his speed and power. Most of his opponents get intimidated. He got speed, he got power, he's strong, he big. That's the Boots Ennis thing. That's the Boots Ennis package. And now you see him in there versus a guy that, only come fight night if we know he's gonna be intimidated by that speed and that power. Only fight night is gonna tell that. Only fight night is gonna tell that. But you got a guy that's in there that's a little bit bigger than him. Guy stronger, just as rangy as him. When you start talking about the range of the fighter, he just as rangy as Boots. And, we're going to see if he can stand up to the speed and power. Footwork. I'm about to put some food in your bowl, my G. You got brisket coming. Nigga said, brisket? Must be a real nigga holiday. But yeah, that's when he kind of said that kind of piqued my interest. I'm like, you think you faster than him? Nah, if he want to talk about foot speed, cool. Hand speed, I don't see it. But if Zayas can really get his timing down pat, don't be surprised if he don't knock out Boots. I wouldn't bet it, but don't be surprised if he don't knock out Boots. If he start timing Boots, don't be surprised. If he able to start landing that jab, controlling that distance, but don't also be surprised if he gets shell shocked by the power and he get knocked out. But I do you one better. He just ball up. The speed, the power is too much, and he ball up. And he don't take no chances. So that's one thing to look at too, because if he ball up and he don't take no chances, and Boots just able to tee off on him, but if he actually in there to looking to make a boxing move on Boots, and he looking to use his jab and really catch Boots coming in and coming out, he got a chance. He got a chance. So when I look at this fight, as many questions as there is for Xander, there's equally the amount of unanswered questions, no matter what them niggas in Philly say. No matter what they say. When you start asking any question that you ask about Xander, you got to ask about Boots. Any question that you ask, experience, Boots, I think Xander got more experienced rounds than Boots. He got just as many experienced rounds. So that's when we start having that conversation. basically, how is Xander so much more superior than Boots from a resume standpoint? Because he not. Everything you hear about Boots is what you heard about in the gym. You know, it's about what you heard about Boots in the gym. Here, it's about Boots in the gym. Tell me in the fight. Tell me in the fight where Boots did all this insane shit that he did. And versus who? You know, David Avenesian was a used condom. Real Monvila, we had never heard about him until he fought the kid from New Hampshire or Providence. What's the old buddy name? The nigga we still ain't heard from again. Rashidi Ellis. And a lot of people thought he lost the Rashidi Ellis fight. Unfortunately, one of the worst things that happened for Boots was Rashidi Ellis not winning that fight. I think him getting Rashidi Ellis would have, gave him a credible name on his resume. Sergey Lipinets, I mean, he should never have won the 140-pound title. I seen him get outboxed by that Kondo dude. So in Boots is 29 years old, and Chris Van Deer in a no contest. Sergey Lipinets, a 140-pounder who shouldn't have had a title at 140 pounds. It's Karen Charkachan, who's a virtual unknown, and unfortunately, with Karen Charkachan, he still ain't made a name for himself. He fought Patty Donovan and lost, and some people said, "Well, he should have won. That wasn't a knockdown." I feel you on that. I ain't disputing that, but if it was a fifth, we all be drunk. So, that's my thing. The dad keeps saying we going to a level we ain't never seen before, and I want him to. Them niggas just talking, and I could be totally off, babe. My thing is, where was that level versus Karen Charkachan? When you gave your son no good advice, where was that advice versus Karen Charkachan? Just knock him out. Just knock him out. Where was that advice? My antennas raised up, and I'm gonna get to these comments. My antennas raised up when you really have a guy that's 29 years old today. Happy birthday to him. Happy birthday to him. 29 years old. And your best win on your resume, right, is, let's just say, Xander Zayas. We all know he probably going to whoop Xander tomorrow. We know Xander ain't got a chance. The pharmacist at CBS got a better chance. Xander was brought here to lose. Xander ain't want this fight. So let's just say Xander is the best name on his resume. We all know he going to whoop Xander tomorrow. That's the best win on his resume, right? Okay. 35 years old, the best win is a guy who's 23 years old, who people don't think much of. People don't think much of him. People don't think much of him. So, I mean, for him to be pound for pound, by the time when Floyd was born, when Floyd Mayweather was born, let's see when Brother Floyd was born. I don't know when he was born. He's 49 years old. Hold on, let me see. He was born in 1977. So 87, 97. 2007, Floyd was 30 years old. When I say his birthday was February. So 2007, at 30 years old, he had just turned 30. He had beat Oscar De La Hoya to become the face of boxing. Before he turned 30, the previous year, um, 29, he had beat Carlos Baldomir for the IBO WBC title. I believe it was the WB. Some other titles on the line too. Something had happened. You know, he beat Zab Judah to the fight before that because Zab had lost his Baldomir, but he still fought Zab. Then he fought Baldomir. He beat Arturo Gotti. He beat Demarcus Corley. He beat Jose Luis Castillo twice. You know, Diego Corral. He done all that by the time he was 30 years old. You know, and Boots is sitting here at 29 years old. His best win is Xander Zayas. How can you say you pound for pound? Even if he go out there and he touch Zayas like a preacher and somebody just fall to the ground and they start praising God. You know, Zayas and Zayas' best win is probably Patrick Teixeira. He probably got the best win between either one of them. So it's hard. It's hard to say. The number one question that you asking is why did it take so long? If he was this decorated amateur, why did it take y'all 20? I mean, honestly, I'm gonna ask y'all this question: do y'all consider this a step-up fight for Boots? Do y'all consider this a step-up fight? I'm asking a serious question: is this a step-up fight for Boots? Is this a step-up fight for Boots? I just want to hear yay or nay. Do y'all consider this a step-up fight for him? Based on his resume, yes. Boots get my respect if he wins this. So that's all I want to know. Like, he's stepping up, and y'all say Xander not that good. This ain't Floyd stepping up and fighting Diego Corrales, or this ain't Earl Spence stepping up and I don't know. I guess beating Sean Porter. You know, this ain't Vernon Forrest. You know, well, I can't say that. You know, but you catch my drift. This wasn't Martin. This ain't Martinez knocking out Paul Williams. You know, come on. This ain't Chad Dawson packing up Glenn Johnson and Antonio Tarver and Thomas Adamick. Who says Xander not that good? I mean, we don't know. That's my point. We don't know how good Xander is. And what I will say is, going to look back on Boots' resume, what fighter aged well on Boots' resume? I'm asking it for the people. When you look at Jaron Boots' resume, what fighter aged well on that resume? Oh, he fought Boots and he went on to be something good. So sometimes you got that residual effect to your resume. Like Canelo going on and salvaging his career after losing to Floyd, that make Floyd resume look better. You feel what I'm saying? That make Floyd shit look better. Had Canelo went out there and got knocked out his next fight, like, oh, you beat that motherfucker. Like on Boots' resume, who was Real Monvila got knocked out the next fight in 3 rounds. So, I mean, Kieran Turkington, he lost to Patty Donovan. Some people say, well, that was a robbery. He should have got, it was close. It was close. I'm just asking a serious question. No, his resume at 29 years old is atrocious. And this is let you know people can just tell you somebody great because he looked good. How many times we seen fighters? How many times we seen fighters They look good. They passed the eye test, but they not that good. Broner was tricking niggas for years. And then the minute he got in there with some competition, he lost. This ain't to kick Broner White down. It's not to kick him White down. I'm just keeping it real, son. And these niggas from Philly, they get mad, they get in their feelings, but it's a 29 years old. And man, come on, he beat Stayonis, bro. Like, okay, cool. I mean, when did Stayonis last fight? He wasn't that good to begin with. His best fight was beating a Razhab Batuev. You know, he beat Batuev. You know? He just won a fight in September. He came back in September last year. And so I don't know. That's his home Lithuania. I think that might have been Lithuania. You know, Boots stopped him in where's the oh my bad, I'm tripping. Boots stopped him in 6 rounds. But before that fight, he hadn't fought in almost a year. And before fighting Gabriel Masteria, he hadn't fought in 2 years. You know? So this dude, you know what I'm saying? This dude had, you know, like I said, man, I'm hating though. I'm hating though. You know what I'm saying? Like this, and you know, in my opinion as well too, you know, this guy really lost to Thomas Duarme. I'm gonna say that all the time. You know? And most of the guys Boots fought, he has a 5'10", 74-inch arm reach. He fought Lima, who they don't even have statistics on him or dimensions on him. Stayonis was 5'8", 68-inch arms. Kieran Turkachan was 5'9.5", don't even have reach on him. This lets you know how bad his opponents is. They don't even have statistics on their dimensions. David Avanesian, 5'8", 68.5-inch arms. Riyamam Vila. He was one that did have rangy arms. He was 5'10", 72-inch arms, but he didn't fight like it. Custio Clayton, 5'9", 79.5-inch arms. Sergey Lifmiets, 5'7", 67-inch arms. Juan Carlos Abreu, 5'10", 71-inch arms. Before that, he fought Chris Van Deer in no contest. He was 5'9", 72-inch arms. So, I mean, you know, we'll see. We'll see. If he lose tomorrow, man, if he win tomorrow, we give him credit if he lose. He says, who you think is better, Salvador Sanchez? You asked me that same question yesterday. I answered it. Said Sanchez. No excuses, full credit. It's all good. He said, yo, Boots look more drained to me. I want Boots to win, but I don't know if he was drained, dancing. I don't know. I don't read much into that. But like I said in the beginning of the video, I don't know if you heard it. The ceremonial weigh-in, that was a ceremonial weigh-in. So they both was able to rehydrate and eat before they got on those scales. They had weighed in earlier that morning. So that's why Xander didn't look as drained. Maybe Boots didn't eat enough. Maybe he was saving, you know, for the birthday meal later. So I wouldn't read too much into the ceremonial weigh-in. Boots got that kind of punch that motherfuckers can love. It looked good. It looked fast. But we're going to see the credibility of the punch tomorrow. You know, maybe he fight somebody, you know, bigger, a little bit bigger. And, you know, you got to ask yourself, he came into the division. Thing about Boots, man, they lack confidence. They talk good, bro. They talk real good. You know, Boots and his father and all them niggas from Philly talk. But they never answer the question, why is he 29 years old with a resume like that? If they were so confident in Boots, why did it take 29 years for him to get to this point? You know, I'm just being honest. Why did it take him to get to 29 to have this fight? And most people still don't think this is a credible step-up fight. Because just as many questions as Boots has, Xander has. But it's understandable because Xander is 23 years old. As much shit as these niggas talking Philly, why didn't this fight happen 5 years ago? Brian Norman Jr., which they said he beat up in the gym, why did Brian Norman Jr. step up and fight Devin Haney? You know, and he ain't fought nowhere near the guy Devin Haney is. He ain't fought nobody nowhere near somebody that caliber. Brian Norman did. Brian Norman did. Come on. Xander look great in shape. It could be Xander will get balled up. Yeah, I mean that could be a point. My boy Miles, man, he down and out right now. He did good on the walk. He got heartworm, so I'll let the motherfucker get heartworm. So he gotta go back for the second treatment tomorrow. Um, so then I gotta go take him to the cardiologist after that. You know, he rolling over. He ain't like that shit. So then after tomorrow, and I get a cardiology appointment, they'll start the treatment. He got some of the medicine already, so yeah, got him hanging in here, bro. Got him hanging in here. But he doing a lot better. So yeah, he ate though, so I had to make the decision. Like, okay, do I want to spend this money? 8 years old. I came up to the mom like, yeah. Now I think he'll be 9 in October, so I'm like, at least his grandpa lived a long ass time. So I'm really thinking I at least get 9, 10, 11, 12, no, 10, 11. So I'm at least hoping to get 3 more years out of him. You know what I'm saying? So so about what, 2029? I can live with that. If he lives 2029, I spend his bread on him 30. I'm cool with that. But other than that, I mean, other than this shit, he been fairly healthy his whole life. So I got the whole family and shit. So most of them, they live pretty long. He get a lot of exercise. I mean, not overweight. Um, I mean, yeah, he still. I mean, shit. Yeah, it's my best friend. So I'm gonna put that bread up for him. I already hit me at the vet for a lot, but like I said, it was worth it. The Boots is overhyped and overrated. He said, "I hate why is it I hats." I think I don't know what that meant. Why Xander got to stay on. No, that's why Xander had to stay on the back foot and work behind the jab and invest into the body. He can't afford to get in a firefight. I'll say this: Xander can't afford not to be aggressive neither. Xander either he got to use Boots' aggression against him, or he got to catch Boots coming in. My thing would be, if I was a betting man, they probably gonna try to catch Boots with a hook coming in. He gonna try to turn Boots. Me personally, I'm not mad at that. I think that's the proper thing to do. But I think I would just have Xander just work on just a 1-2, trying to catch Boots coming in with the 1 or the 2, and then mix in the hook. But I think they're gonna try to catch Boots coming in. I think when Boots jump in, I think they're gonna try to turn Boots and punch with Boots. That's what I think they're gonna do. I think what you seen what Turkachan did, able to check hook and pivot, make Boots reset his feet. I think that's what you're gonna see tomorrow night. But I think also, I think it become a point in time where I would, maybe he don't turn him and Boots think he gonna turn him, and then he sit down on the hook or he sit down on the right hand. But I think that's what you're gonna see them do. I think once Boots commit on that front foot, I think you're gonna see them pivot out, or they gonna step over and they're gonna try to catch Boots. They're gonna try to catch Boots coming in. Yeah, that's what I think. They're gonna pivot Boots coming in. I think at some point you might see them hold their position. Boots gonna think they pivot. They're gonna hit Boots with a 1-2. I think that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? I think they're gonna try to catch Boots coming in. Boots is reckless coming in. When he come with them uppercuts and them hooks, Boots, he just his head is straight on the line. He, like when Roy throw that shit, Roy get his head off the line, and Roy do this, and Roy Boots is coming in with the uppercut, man. He come in with his chin up, he come out with his chin up. As much shit as his dad talking about the adjustment they got him. Just look at it. When they fought Turkington, well, there's no adjustments in there to be made. Boots probably like a fighter that come forward. If you box Boots and you use range and you use the ring, cool. But I think Xander also got to be aggressive. Xander is big, fast, and strong, good footwork, boots and 6. You know, and I mean, and I know see a lot of people saying pick 'em Boots by knockout, but how many times we seen a knockout puncher? They step up and they step up in weight. Fuck that. They step up in competition in the power. Not they don't get the power. They don't get the punch. How many times have we? At some point, even Deontay Wilder is probably the greatest puncher we seen in this generation. At some point, he met a motherfucker that can take that punch, in Tyson Fury. You know what I'm saying? All the punchers. Matias found somebody that can take his punch. Madonna found somebody that can take his punch. Thurman found somebody that can take their punch. EJ found somebody that can take. Like I said, when you see some of the most monstrous punchers, you know what I'm saying, throughout history, whether it's Foreman, Ken Norton, Ronnie Lyles, you know, all these monstrous punches, Shane Mosley at 35, Durant, Hands of Stone, Tommy Hearns, somebody was always able to take their punch, bro. You see? I'm seeing David Reed and Trinidad and Danny and Zan and Danny watching the film, bro. He said, nah, he won't knock Boots out, but Zayas definitely can get a knockdown or a Boots extend. My thing is this. Why were they hiding Boots so long, bro? That's my number one question. Why was they hiding Boots so long? Was it just think about it? He wasn't Deontay Wilder where he didn't have the experience. He had the amateur experience. What did they gain out of hiding Boots in the pros? He probably can't take a punch. I ain't said I heard nothing. I ain't saying he a broke nigga. But she ain't fucking with no broke nigga. I'm starting to think he can't take a punch, bro. Think about it. I'm starting to believe, hearing the stories about I'm starting to think he can't take a punch. But who knows what Zayas can? I never seen Zayas ball up or free. I mean, yeah, he ain't never fought a nigga like Boots neither. So shout out to Stacks. Man, that's misleading because Boots knocked dudes out, which means who did he knock out, bro? Y'all can be talking about, Boots knocked people out. He knocked out not so good fighters. Boots knocked out not so good fighters. So that's not misleading. Who are you not? That's the number one thing about everybody want to throw a nigga on the pound for pound list because of the eye test. They never look at the list and be like, who did you beat? That's one thing that you always gonna get from these boxing fans. They never talk about who these guys beat. They never. The same thing I was saying about Earl Spence ain't beat nobody, bro. He finally fought somebody in Sean Porter that gave him resistance. He got exposed. He got exposed. He got exposed. He got exposed. Adrian Broner finally fought somebody in Paula Malignaggi. He got exposed. He got exposed a couple times, but we just used that one. Paul Madonna got exposed. That's what I be trying to tell y'all. At 29 years old, who is the best name on Boots' resume? Give me 1 second. Yeah, got to get his food. So I appreciate y'all. Hopefully I can get back in the morning before I get into his vet appointment. Yeah, Ponce de Leon's really beat Broner, but peace.